Thanks, Robert. I appreciate it. Hey, everyone. I'm Jeff Kletzel, and I have been tapped to help kind of steer this part of the program today. Not sure I feel completely worthy of that, but yet here I stand anyway, and I appreciate Rick and Dylan's confidence in me in some fashion here for steering the ship in some way. Just one point to make offhand. This is supposed to be a celebration of life. It's a little loose. Don't feel like you have to stay in your seat the complete time. There's going to be some changeovers, and you're welcome to kind of get up and move if you need to. So I'm not completely excited to be up here for a couple different reasons. First of all, it's not my kind of general program to be stared at by people that are not drinking wine and clinking glasses and chattering amongst each other. See that? I feel done already. This is good. Much better. And I can't say I'm happy about the reason, but I have to be amazed at the main reason we're here, which is just love for an individual that has impacted all of us and crossed all our lives in various ways, all of them positive. Doesn't even seem quite real that somebody with so much life can be gone, but that is our reality, and we will kind of move forward from here with tons of pieces of Porscha in us from this moment forward. And that's obviously why we're here. We're here to celebrate the life of an amazing person in this valley, Porscha Schiller. She enriched our lives in so many ways just by being who she was and by being alive and by being in our general vicinity, and whether it be a winery or some other community event or whatever it was. The Porscha that I know was certainly larger than life in so many ways. We all experience, other people through our own filters, but my filter for sure, has this long laundry list of what Porscha was: marketing manager, event manager, idea factory, complete workaholic. The woman would just text me at all hours of the day or night with questions about this or that, music or everything. I don't think she ever let up. I don't know. You guys know better than I do. Amazing music supporter. Definitely, I'll put that way up on her list there. Health nut, wine fan, community advocate, nonprofit fundraiser. Many nonprofits in this valley have benefited from her efforts and her ideas. Party planner extraordinaire. Obviously, I got to be the beneficiary of that many, many times along the way. Always a positive force, always a proud mom and wife, and you never miss that in her. And always a people lover. And I think that's her connection to and with everybody that came across her path is really going to be her continuing legacy, I think, and we all feel that in our own way. But she just had such a connection to the people that whether she knew you forever or whether she didn't know you at all and you just walked through her doorway at a winery. And she, we heard this earlier from a lot of people, and I'm sure we'll hear that more today, but her connection to people and the way she made people feel is one of the biggest legacies that she's going to have going forward. I mean, she's a huge friend and advocate to all of us in many different ways. And I'm looking out here, obviously I see a lot of people who know her certainly way better than I ever got to. I was late to the Porscha bandwagon. I was late to the Valley, and I've only been here about 8 years in the Valley, and I'll just give you a quick rundown on my experience with Porscha. She was the first person ever to hire me for a winery gig in this valley, and that has become pretty much my main musical platform forever. That gig that I have at South Stage has become the longest running monthly gig I've had in my life anywhere I've ever lived, so I'm very appreciative for that. And she was also the first person, after 3 years of being unemployed in this valley during the downturn, she was the first person to ever give me a job, take a chance on me as a winery employee. And so I've worked for her behind the bar at South Stage since 2012. In the music role there, I got to see really how music moved her. I would be behind the microphone and she would be behind the bar, and I could see when a certain song would come on and she'd start wiggling, and then she'd be out of the bar, out there with the dancers, having a blast and whooping it up and really making people feel great about her own energy and what she was feeling with the music. And then as a winery employee with her as well, as a staff member there, I could see her connection to people and how she worked from behind the bar to to build this rapport with people. And I got to see her fascination with Chardonnay and Pinot Noir as well. And both of those were poured today. I hope you were lucky enough to get some. I see some Chardonnay being lifted. The Porscha. And so being one of her employees, I've had a couple of jobs in my life, and I will say that she really, more than any boss I've ever had in my life, had my back and was the most supportive and protective boss I've ever had. She had our backs as employees there at times when I never expected such things to happen, and I really appreciate that. I'm not used to seeing that in every human being out there, so impressive. Thank you, Porscha. I owe you for all those things personally, and I'm sure all of us here owe you for many other things as well. One thing you have to say about Porscha is she loved parties. She loved people, she loved music, and she got to surround herself with those two things on a very regular basis. And she created her life, I think, just to make sure that would happen, just by where she worked and who she was around. And she was always connecting and feeling bonds and musical things all the time. And today, I think we're going to channel a lot of that. We've got a lot of music for you today from local musicians who she definitely impacted and had a connection to and helped get their start. And I think you have to agree with me here that she would love us to be doing this in this fashion, with music and a little wine and a little more relaxing and more loose. Yeah, if you feel like dancing in the aisles, she would do it. She would be the one doing it. So high heels and all. So up first today, we have Sam, all the way up from San Diego, who is going to give us a little Porscha speech, I think.
Alright, so understandably, I want to also Sean and I together speak for Sean too, just understandably it's a little bit hard, today. So, I'm Sean's girlfriend, and just want to give a little speech about, some anecdotes, memories that I have of her, and I'm sure that a lot of people can relate to in here. So, not very good at impromptu, so I wrote it all down, so. Okay. So 5 years ago, I met Sean in San Diego. A few months later, I was headed up to Ashland to meet the family for Thanksgiving. Not being told too much about his family, what is a new girlfriend supposed to expect? But upon arrival, we went directly from the airport to South Stage. Opening the door, I was immediately greeted by Porscha with the warmest hug, happiest heart, and a bottle of Riesling. Not knowing anything about wine, being 21 at the time, this evening was my first experience of wine, the family, and her enthusiastic and lively presence. Of course, the cracked wine glass followed, and the bottle shortly followed after. But to this day, I will never forget that night. When Sean and I rescued our dog, our fur child, a few years ago, we named him Riesling because of this exact moment. It just stuck with me. Her caring and hospitable presence that so evidently projected off of her. From the first trip to Ashland, almost 5 years ago, she would call me at least once a week just to let me know she was thinking about me, and how happy she was that I was with Sean. She told me to call her mom, and there was definitely no resistance from me whatsoever. And she asked if she could start calling me her daughter. No matter what, even towards later, I was still receiving those calls. I had a very different interaction with my own mom, so I very much look forward to seeing her name pop up on caller ID. Hearing her voice, getting to share ideas, thoughts, venting, or simply going over our day, and mostly talking about how much we both love Sean. Being a New York Jew myself, and knowing Jewish mothers, I adored and wholeheartedly welcomed her love and kindness that she shared. With Sean, I witnessed the phone calls every single day between them. There wouldn't be a day that went by where Sean wouldn't speak to her or pick up the phone when she called. Their bonded connection was always something I admired and continue to cherish. She would cheerfully and continuously share how proud she is of him for his schoolwork, his career, and the life he created for himself in San Diego. but I don't think proud or any word would cover how she felt about him, Dylan, or Rick. Anyone that has ever met her knew the intense love she had for family, especially those boys. I could understand where she was coming from, since I have had to agree and have fallen in love with this family as well. And then a few months before my mom passed away from cancer, Porscha made a trip to San Diego for the sole purpose to meet my mom and get to know her. I think she knew in her heart that I was going to be with Sean for a long time and wanted to make sure to meet the women that raised me. Even though they were different, they had a lot of similar traits and got along beautifully. The fact that Porscha would make the trip on her own willingness and accords meant the world to me. It truly demonstrated how genuine and compassionate she was to those around her. My dad, who is here today, came to visit Ashland last year to meet Porscha and Rick. In just a weekend, we had the best time simply being together. To this day, we talk about how we all drove to Crater Lake, went to numerous wineries, and spent the nights talking away over glasses of wine. This is probably a similar story to others, how just meeting her once will have an everlasting impact on your life, whether you knew it or not. To be clear, there is no past tense in any of these anecdotes. That is just the kind of person she is and will always be. I know that everyone in this room would agree with me when I say that our energy and kind spirit will outlive any of us. She will continue to dance on. I will always remember her for warming our hearts on a daily basis, putting a smile on our faces, and selflessly caring for those around her.
So our first musical guests of the day will be the brothers Reed, Aaron Reed, and Phil Reed.
All right, here we go. There was a secret chord David played that pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fourth, and the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Sometimes when we would play this in South Stage, people would grind. No joke. Your faith was strong, but she needed proof. Saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty and the moonlight hold her through you. And she tied you to her kitchen chair, and she broke your throat and cut your hair, and from your lips she drew the hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Baby, I've been here before, seen this room, I walked this floor. You know I used to live alone before I knew you. And I seen your flag on the marble arch, and love, it ain't no victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. know what was really going on below. But now you never show that to me, do you? I remember when I moved in you, and that holy dove was moving too, and every breath we drew was hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Whoa, whoa. Well, maybe there's some God above. I've ever learned from love is how to shoot somebody who outdrew you. It's not a cry that you hear at night. It's not somebody who's seen the light. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Porscha. In the spirit of a good time, we're not gonna keep it down. We're gonna put this song as an upbeat one. About loving life, and doing everything you possibly can do to cram one in. Cram all you can in your life. One, two, three, four. Yard under my feet, sunshine in the open street. Don't get much better than this, you know. Yeah, time comes and I let it pass. With a smile on my face and a heavy face. Here in my hands, no better place to go. I'm doing well, and I live my life like a carousel, ups and downs and around we go. If you ask me where I'll be in 1 or 2 or maybe 3 years, I'll tell you, oh, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, oh, how I love my life. Easy to see how someone like me could die peacefully in the arms of the world. Oh, yeah. On the other side, and I'm gonna love it till the day I die. In a rickety house and sit up on the hill. I recommend a kiss from you every day I wake and in the evening too. Oh baby, that's all I need from you. the arms of the world.
For our first show. Unfortunately, she didn't get to see it, but we are so happy to be here to share it with her today. Broken down and tired, living life on a merry-go-round, and you can find a fighter. I see it in you, so we're gonna walk it out. And and I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. Silence isn't quiet. It feels like it's getting hard to breathe. I know you feel like dying. I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move.
really nice.
Nick plays with the Front Drifters, and he's been playing at South Stage for a long time as well.
A lot of my first gigs were at South Stage. And, South Stage and Roxanne were the two wineries where I was allowed to develop a solo set. Kind of for the first time, you know, you try to be in a band for ages and ages, and you develop one thing, and so kind of want to see what else can I do, what else is out there. So, you know, getting to play in a duet for the first time, you know, with Shay, being at South Stage, and then also getting to test my solo sound, you know. Basically, there's not too many people out there that are so supportive of live music and individual musicians. So that's what we're gonna miss.
Feel free to sing along on this next song. I'm sure you all know it. I wanna love you and treat you right. I wanna love you, yeah, every day and every night. We'll be together, yeah, with the roof right over our heads. We'll share a shelter of my single bed. We'll share the same room, yeah. And I'll provide the bread. Is this love, is this love, is this love, is this love that I'm feeling? Is this love, is this love, is this love, is this love that I'm feeling? Oh. Throw my cards on the table. I wanna love you. I wanna love and treat you right. I wanna love you, yeah, every day and every night. We'll be together with the roof right over our heads. We'll share a shelter, yeah, of my single bed. We'll share the same room, yeah, and I'll provide the bread. Is this love, is this love, is this love, is this love that I'm feeling? Is this love, is this love, is this love, is this love that I'm feeling? Ooh. I wanna love you. I wanna love and treat you right. I wanna love you, yeah, every day and every night. We'll be together with the roof right over our heads. We'll share the shelter of my single bed. We'll share the same room. I'll provide the bread. Is this love, is this love, is this love, is this love that I'm feeling?
So up next we've got a good friend of Porsche, Rochelle Roulier, and a good friend of mine as well. He's going to share some thoughts on Porsche as well.
You'll have to forgive me. Someone told me before the service that if I was going to break down, I should imagine all of you naked. And now I'm kind of like I just stare at the wall. It may not be appropriate to make eye contact. Oh, anyway, good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for being here to celebrate the life of such a beautiful person, our beloved Porscha. Just saying her name, Porscha, evokes a multitude of memories, qualities, feelings, and gratitude, doesn't it? Her name was certainly known to many, thousands. Her passion for wine, art, music, and people brings us all together today. Yes, she was a compassionate mediator, an avid supporter of local artists and musicians, a pioneer in bringing live music to our valley, and she helped raise money for many local nonprofits. And behind the limelight of her very public persona, she was a loving best friend, a protective mother, a very faithful wife, loyal daughter, and sister. Although I could go on and on for hours about every immensely beautiful quality of this woman, due to time, I will try to highlight some of my favorites with a few stories. First of all, one thing about Porscha was that she was very down to earth. She would not want to be idolized in life or in death. She would want us to laugh, to cry, to connect with one another, to drink good wine, to dance, to celebrate. And celebrate her in the same way she celebrated all of us. Mother Teresa said this: never worry about numbers. Help one person at a time and always start with the person nearest you. I hope many of you today can think back to your first encounter with Porscha, how you met. She had a way of making a person feel like they were the most special person in the room, didn't she? My own first encounter was about 7 years ago. Laurel and I had moved to the Rogue Valley, leaving our friends and family behind in California for new job opportunities. We didn't know anyone. On our first day here, we decided to walk downtown in Jacksonville, our new home. We quickly stumbled upon South Stage Cellars and stopped in hoping to find a good glass of wine. Knowing nothing about Oregon people or wineries, we quickly found a table and started to survey what the ordering protocol was. Would someone wait on us? Did we order at the bar? How does it work here? And in that dazed and confused moment of uncertainty, Porscha plopped down at our table. True to her nature, she didn't stand over us or say, "What can I get you?" or even offer a menu. Nope, she sat down, moved her body closer to both of ours, and stared deeply into our eyes as if studying the depths of our souls. Porscha was an expert on all things people. Of course, she began by asking who we were, where we were from, what brought us to Jacksonville, etc. She made us feel so special, so welcomed, so important, so cared for in the midst of working a busy tasting room. She was larger than life. I was mesmerized by how her smile and warmth lit up that tasting room with such grace, style, kindness, and fun. Of course, South Stage soon became our version of the neighborhood Cheers, and we found ourselves in there quite frequently, in large part due to Porscha's magnetic and welcoming personality. And as time went on, our conversations grew deeper, more meaningful, sometimes late at night over a good glass of wine. On one particular occasion, Porscha seemed concerned, worried about something. And upon our asking, She confided that she and Rick were going on a trip soon, but that, at the last minute, their dog sitter had backed out. Well, without knowing anything about Porscha's dog, we immediately offered to dog sit as we're dog lovers ourselves. She squealed with delight, a squeal I'd have the privilege of hearing many more times, and said, "Oh, thank you so much. Hercules is my baby." Pause. Have you ever instantly regretted offering your help to someone? If I thought Porscha was bigger than life, the vision of Hercules, the dog, was bigger. I suddenly had a terrifying vision of Hercules, the god of 200-pound dog strength and size, gobbling our 2 pugs as a snack and driving us from our home. Destitute, we'd then live in our car for several days while he gleefully overtook our house and belongings. Nevertheless, we agreed to dog sit. How could we possibly say no to Porscha? So here comes Porscha bringing Hercules to our house. Hercules the Pomeranian. Oh, wasn't this so Porscha? True to his breed, during the next several days, we learned that Hercules was very friendly, playful, lively, fluffy, territorial, extroverted, the center of attention, adorable, and thus very good at getting what he wanted. Wait, am I talking about Hercules or Porscha? They say we start to look and act like our dogs. Maybe it's the other way around. You've probably seen the pug resemblance. Porscha was certainly a Hercules in so many ways, wasn't she? She could be fluffy and playful, slightly flirtatious, adorable, full of mischief, could squeal and prance, and then in a moment's notice, she'd become that tough Brooklyn girl. Fiercely protective of her family and inner circle, embodying strength and courage, loyalty, and knowing exactly how to get what she wanted. Just a side note, Rick, I don't know what this says about you and Capri, but I'll let you guys figure it out. At Southstage, there were nights right before closing when a group of us would gather around her at the bar. And she would motion for us to come closer to her and whisper something to us, something like, "Because I totally adore all of you, in the next 10 minutes, I can give you 20% off a piece of wine." Hurry! This is only for tonight. And don't tell Trouty. And of course, because Porscha asked us, and because she made us feel so special, and because we were not going to say no to her, we'd somehow all end up buying several bottles of wine. The next day I'd find myself asking, wait, don't we normally get 20% off? Am I confused? Oh wow, Porscha said she adored us and not to tell Trouty. So we must have gotten a great deal, right? I can just imagine her squeal with glee if she were standing up here today where I am, looking at all the people she adored so much. She could charge us anything, couldn't she? And you know we'd all buy whatever it was she was selling. How does such a rare, aggressive illness take such a vibrant, healthy, gregarious, brilliant human being? That's what's left so many of us so shocked and devastated by her passing. I'm reminded of a moment in Porscha's hospital room when she was first examined by the hospitalist. And this doctor turned to Porscha and said, "This is not your fault. you did not do anything to cause this. And I was so relieved to hear her say this to Porscha. As many of you close to her knew, she drank only the purest water. Everything she ate was organic and fresh. Certainly on more than one occasion, when we would all gather and eat delicious, rich, unhealthy food, I would look over and see Porscha with her magically appearing slab of salmon or bowl of broccoli. I imagined her living to be 110 or 120 years old. But that's the thing, isn't it? None of us know how long we'll live. What would Porscha want for us to carry on from her life? How can we continue to celebrate her? What traits of hers touched you deeply enough that you want to emulate them? Since I've been around a lot of death in my life, both personally and professionally, I've come to believe the spirit realm is not that far from us. At the end, as I said goodbye to my dearly beloved friend, I leaned close to her ear and I whispered to tell her how much I loved her. And I thanked her for unwavering friendship. And then I said to her, you can give me signs from the other side that you're close by. And I'm going to be watching for these. I had no idea what signs she would choose. A few weeks after her passing, Dylan and Rick asked me to speak today. And I found myself asking Porscha these same questions. What message would you want me to pass on? What does celebrating your life mean? How could I possibly summarize a life so full, so larger than life, encapsulate the magnitude of such beauty inside and out with something simple, yet as meaningful and powerful as you would want? I was contemplating this in my car one day when I felt a nudge, a Porscha voice or mannerism that said, turn up the volume on your radio, which I had muted. And whether you believe this is all coincidence or even if you don't believe in any type of spiritual realm after death, doesn't matter. What matters is that in that very moment, the next words out of singer Chris Allen's mouth were, gotta live like we're dying. Right? And after my goosebumps subsided, and I think I looked behind me to make sure I was alone, I smiled. I felt Porscha laugh, squeal, eee! Remember that? And drop the mic. Of course she would use music as a sign to speak to me, to us. Gotta live like we're dying. What if you or I found out tomorrow that we only had a month or two to live? How would that change our priorities, our relationships, the way we approach life? Porscha made every person she met feel special. She was fiercely loyal and faithful to her family and closest friends. She celebrated life, wine, art, music, people, animals. She had integrity, compassion, and her work ethic was relentless, even at the end. And as big as she was in life, I can only imagine how big her soul is on the other side. Yes, today we celebrate her, but tomorrow, let's all take her with us into our daily lives. And like Mother Teresa said, never worry about numbers. Help one person at a time and start with the person nearest you, just like Porscha did. We love you.
Thanks for showing us. So from Jacksonville, we'll bring it back to Ashland, and we've got Lake North sharing some of the thoughts.
don't know how I'm supposed to go after that. But thanks for the lineup. So, yeah, again, my name's Lake North. I've known Porscha for most of my life. I've been friends with Sean and Dylan since I was 8, growing up in Ashland. And being raised as a single child, walking into your guys' home, it always brought me so much comfort. The love I observed in Porscha's home and the closeness I saw between all of you guys stuck with me. Where siblings are friends and stick together, where it's cool to hang out with your parents and just enjoy each other's company. It's no small feat to create a vibe where family environment is like that, and Porscha did it. She did it with the heart of hers that we all know. Porscha always made me feel welcome and loved. She was known for opening her arms and her heart to people. Porscha's graciousness, love, hospitality, and the value she placed on family were only a few of the qualities that made her one of the most loved people in this valley. When I introduced my wife to her, she immediately treated her like family, as well as saying something along the lines of, "Every good man needs a New York girl." Laughed and congratulated me. I personally love that memory, and the importance that she placed on celebrating life. She was such a celebrator. She was taken too soon, and my heart is broken. And for her family she left behind. All we can do is honor her and love each other as she did. We know she can feel our love and how much we miss her. I want Porscha to know that her love meant something to me. It meant a lot to me as a kid, and it means a lot to me now. I know her. I want her to know that Sean and Dylan are my brothers, and I will watch out for them. Near or far, no matter where you guys are, in trouble or not, I'm always going to be there. We love you, Porscha. It's so painful not to have you here, but you will be with us every day. Thank you.
Thanks, Lee. So up next, we've got a little more music to share here. We've got Brett.
You belong among the wildflowers. real original at this point. But I'm terrible with names. She always knew my name. And I felt so bad the first two times, especially the name of Porscha. You know, and like by the third time, she was like, "Yeah, how's your daughter Bodie doing?" Be like, "Yeah, she's I know." You know, she had a way of making me feel important or good about this.
She made a sport.
And you know, I'm always happy to have a nice Jewish lady in my environment.
Probably it's another song about flowers. She was a wildflower, kind of brilliant, bright, ever blooming, and omnipresent. Yes, think of that feeling.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks, Gene. thoughts on the music. All right, our final speaker of the day is going to be Porscha's youngest son, Dylan. And he's in the back on his way up here.
Well, thank you all for coming. This has worked out much better than I expected. Secretly, my mom is pulling strings right now. I joked with my family earlier. I was like, the person we need to plan this has just left us. Not sure what we're doing here, but it's working out. So, thank you all for coming. That's music I get, by the way. We're taking a cleansing breath here just because this is a little rough. You can do it with me if you want. All right, 1, 2, 3, and I'm getting my yoga instructor's license next week, so. Well, standing up here and telling all of you who my mom was and how wonderful she was seems a little bit redundant. We're all here. We know exactly who she was. So instead, I want to kind of describe or depict one of my last nights I had with my mom. This circumstance, this whole disease came on like a storm. We had no time to prepare for this. It was 0 to 60 in 2.5 months. During that time, my father and we never wanted my mom to be alone. So we spent every night with her, either both together or alternating throughout the whole process. Towards the end, when we were finally informed by the doctors that it was the end, she had fell into some form of a coma, for lack of a better term. And it was my night on. And I'm laying in this hospital room with my mom, non-communicable at that point, like I had done many times before. And it was the same familiar kind of ambient glow of the room. Lights were off, the beeping of the IV in the background, and the sound of the oxygen ticking away. And I was laying there, and I pulled the cot beside her bed. I was laying on my back, staring at the ceiling, my hand in hers. And I just started to talk. And I didn't know what I was saying or why I was saying it, but I just started to talk. And before I know it, I realized it was one of the best conversations I've ever had with my mom. And it was just me, yes. I realized I'm a narcissistic motherfucker. In conclusion, there's a mirror in the distance, and I was just looking at myself. And we talked. I mean, I say we talked because I know it, without words she was communicating with me. And it was so palpable and beautiful. I actually reached for my phone and I went to record the moment. I didn't want to forget that moment. And my hand in hers, I felt a squeeze. And I turned and I said, "Mom, do you not want me to record this?" And another squeeze. So I threw that fucker out the window. And we just laid there. And I chatted, she listened, and I laughed and cried and got angry and then laughed again. It was a whole personality breakdown. And I started to think of something a doctor told my dad and I just a couple days before, that we all envision this perfect ending, surrounded by our loved ones dying old in our sleep, warm in our beds. This perfect moment. But why? Nothing up to that point was perfect. So I started to, really dive into that. We conjure up these ideas of have a perfect kid. He gets perfect grades, goes to a perfect college, meets the perfect girl, perfect job, perfect marriage, perfect life. That's not real. The perfect that is real is the moment we're in right now, and the very next one that follows. The perfect that is real is making a shitty situation work for you. So while I go back to that night with my mom and me laying on that cot, holding her hand, some may say, what a horrible scenario. Porscha, a comet, a shooting star, is passing away in this hospital. But that night, what I got, the sounds from her oxygen tank sounded like a babbling brook. The light from her hospital bed was like candlelight flickering in the room. And me laying on my back and staring at the ceiling was me having a solo spa day with my mom. So, if you have a glass, raise a glass. To my mom's 67 imperfect years. And Mama, I can't wait to see you again and tell you all the imperfect shit I've been up to. I love you, L'chaim. Thank you.
So after Jeff plays a final song, we're going to be closing the shades. Dylan put together this beautiful movie slideshow tribute to his mom. So hang around. We'll shut the shades. If those on this side of the room want to shut the shades, that would be great. Thank you so much, Jeff, for doing this.
Yeah, thanks. So there are a couple extra microphones up here. If my musical compatriots feel like jumping in on this one, and anyone out there who feels like singing along on this one, please do so.
How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Beneath the shelter of someone's arms, there you were. Do you someone to understand what I'm standing now? There you were. Long and rosy, she's touching by the rosy. I want to stop. Thank you, baby. I just want to stop. Love so sweet, so many ways. I want to stop. Thank you, baby. I just want to stop. Thank you, baby. How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. loved by you. Loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Thank you, Porscha. All right. What would I do if I sang out of tune? You stand up and walk out on me. There be a reason I sing you a song and try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by a little help from my friends. You know I get by a little help from my friends. Oh, I gotta try a little help from my friends. What will you do when my love is away? It's to be alone. How do I feel at the end of my day? I'm sad because you're all alone. Hey, I get by with a little help from my friends. Ooh, I get high with a little help from my friends. Oh, I gotta try a little help from my friends. Do you need anybody? Just somebody to love. Couldn't agree anybody. I want somebody to love. Would you believe in love at first sight? Wasn't sure that it happens all the time. Why do you see me turn out alive? Tell me that I know it's mine. Hey, I get by with a little help from my friends.